Hi, everyone. Here we are in another live, stream live. I don't know if in another live yet. We'll see in a little bit if I recognize what my words or not. So,
I will see you in another life. Here we are in another life, in another dimension. This is good, actually. Yep. We crossed
oh
over the
my.
rainbow, folks.
Yeah,
This is
I
where we're
know. I
at.
know. Well, speaking of rainbows, here am I with Adriana, my dear Adriana, and we're going to talk about the passion of the Christ consciousness and the rainbow flame of the crystalline heart. So, this is a major topic because I think that every day we are um, being invited to ignite that passion in our life in many ways, not just for our mission, yet with the intimacy of oneself. And that leads to a lot of belief systems, right, Adriana? Like what is right, what is not right, what is meant to be done, what is passion, what is lost, and actually how all of this is interwoven with the heart, like that. And this is what I love, that level of purity in which, from the power of the divine feminine, you get to embody that divine fire without burning, like in general terms, it's like you use the fire to give life, to give birth, to spark. And of course, the transmutation is also needed, yet that mastery in which you don't need to go into your other energy, your divine masculine. You are very well aware of the power of your divine feminine, and that what are the implications to that? How does that divine feminine energy is holding the space for your divine masculine, and how it is bringing you that manifestation, that strength you were mentioning segment before going live. So, what do you think about this, Adriana? Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone. My goodness, you're in for a treat because today it's going to be powerful. A lot of divine union codes, a lot of rainbow codes came in, a lot of divine passion came in, a lot of fire for me with Sekhmet, right? Coming in. The magnetizing.
Yes. Mm.
Yes. So how do you go currently through the current energies? By the way, energetically we are by Western Zodiac in Gemini season. So Gemini is all about duality, masculine, feminine, two worlds. So no wonder you're like, which reality are we in right now? Because I'm plugging you with this strong Gemini here, being a Gemini myself, and then Uranus, the planet of change and transformation. By the way, got the codes today: 555, 555, 555, nonstop. Okay,
Uh-huh.
and then which Gemini is number 5, all about the change. So Uranus, planet of change, is gonna be there for next 7 years. So all about communication, change, shift, and then we're also gonna have a what is the Jupiter planet of expansion and good luck on June 30th go into Leo. So that passion, that divine passion.
What are you talking about?
Oh my
What's
goodness.
the passion?
Oh, it's gonna come on board. You better get ready for it. It's gonna be here for next 13 months. So I think fitting with that, in September, the two of us were going to a beautiful islands of Hawaii. And so we're inviting everybody to come along with us. We're gonna be working with the divine passion with Goddess Pele on the big island of Hawaii. We're going to go to different sacred places where the kings have been born. And then, of course, to Pele volcano, where she's currently gushing because of all the passion coming out, where we're really going to be bringing in the codes through. And then we're going to end the trip on an island of Kauai, which is very well known to be an island of Lemuria, and that's where the Lemurian codes, and I believe that you were talking about some other codes that are stored there too, that I'll have you talk about. So go ahead.
Hmm. Well, thank you for that intro. So, guys, Adriana and I will be hosting a retreat in Hawaii. We will get to the details in a bit. For now, the important thing here is to, as Adriana brought up, to mention the connection of the Lemurian codes with this crystalline lattice that we are reigniting, that we are restoring within our holofractal vessel, within our biological vessel, through the water, which is the conductor that brings in the quantum to the matter. So, this is scientifically proven. When we build up enough coherence in our water, or and a structure, a precise structure that it's showing high coherence, high electricity, then it starts to come as a crystalline lattice, a liquid crystalline lattice. So this involves many things, as the power of enlightening our body. Of course, it's a little bit more complex than that. Not just drinking structured water will make you glow. It requires more discipline to that. Yet it's very much a big part of what it's required to start generating that level of coherence. Because here is the deal: when we talk about Lemurian codes, we talk about that purity, that primordial essence in which we were one with nature. When we talk about the Atlantean stage, we talk more about this technological aspect of evolution, with of course, without leaving aside the fact that there was also heart. Yet, in terms of percentages, there was more of an expression of technological advancements. So when we talk about Lemuria, the main technology was the body itself. And that is the unified field, that is unity consciousness. So now, how does this relate to the Christ consciousness? Well, we know that there have been different, let's say, avatars, different ascended masters that carried titles that were connecting to a very specific initiation and mastery. In this case, the Christ consciousness is very much related to the rainbow body. This is why the rainbow flame of the heart, because we're not talking only about one color, we're talking about the full spectrum. That's wholeness. So when we embody that wholeness, and we are inhabiting that 0 point energy, that free energy, that sovereignty. So now, going deeper, what if all these memories, as I said in my previous video talking about the hall of record, the Lemurian hall of records, what if these archives are inherently, organically stored in the crystalline structure of the water that we see in the oceans, that we see in the seas, and that the way that it plays with the different elements, such as the islands, like for instance, we know that throughout the Pangea, if you go and look in Google right now, look up in Google, and you say, show me a map of the Pangea, it will show to you the land, the surface of the land, and it has the shape of an anatomic heart.
Wow.
So yeah, and I invite you guys, like go for it, see, and you will see how it looks like an atomic heart. So, what does this mean? Like, in terms of the Earth heart, the moment that this land started to separate into continents, it was representing a stage of evolution as a source that starts to divide itself into different pieces to fractal itself in different pieces. And thanks. And actually, if you want to share screen, you can also share
Oh
screen.
no, it's fine. I just had it on my phone.
Okay, thank you. Um, and so as we go, like how the densities, the dimensions were created, when we're talking about wholeness, source being everything, and then starting to experience itself or recreate itself in different ways so that there is a feedback, consciousness. So throughout that feedback, as source did, separating or fractal or becoming generate itself in fractals, extend itself in fractals, so did the earth. Because again, everything is just fractal, a holofractal field from which in at every scale everything is happening exactly the same, constants are happening just at different scales, at different gradients. So when the earth did this, let's say that the next thing was there were different civilizations here planting seeds, genetic experiments, trying to see what the earth was like to be here, how profitable it was to be here, what could be hosted here. Why? Because also one of the natures of the earth is to store a lot of information. Why? Due to the amount of water that we have on earth, like a lot of galactics call it the blue planet, due to the amount of water that we have. So imagine that that water at a high level of coherence is a crystalline lattice. So all that crystalline lattice is storing information. So this is why one of the reasons why Earth it's a big storage place, at least the way that a lot of galactic groups see it. So and then leads to understand and comprehend why many technologies were then developed to continue storing all the information that they keep tracking from the earth, like the spectral spheres and so forth. Anyway, so now just to summarize with this, the next step would be when Lemuria, when Mu was here, and in very specific parts, like for instance, we mentioned now Hawaii, we also know about Madagascar, and other islands that also we can feel the presence of these Lemurian codes. So what happened? The thing is that what I have been tapping into is that now at another scale, all the islands are representing the pieces of the Lemurian heart of the Hall of Records, because the Hall of Records of Lemuria was encrypted as a heart. Why? Because it was all about the connection to the power source, to the central force. And that was their main generator for everything, for their psionics, for all the connection that they had with the nature as one. Their heart was the fundamental source of everything. So when other type of collapses of civilizations took place, all this information was divided, was extended, expanded into these islands, representing again, like those parts of the heart that lead to another level of amnesia. And that once we remember and once we bring energetically those parts together, those pieces of the heart together, we give birth to our new heart. And this is also something that the galactics would do very much with the Indian indigenous tribes with the Native American tribes or all over the Americas. They would show to them what was giving to them a new heart through quantum surgeries, because they knew that our heart was not aligned anymore to the true north after the coalition of what some call Tiamat to the earth and generated the axis tilt. Then ever since, our heart has not been fully synced to the true north unless we become aware of it and align it by ourselves energetically until it aligns up biologically. And there is proof to that. When you start doing energetic harmonization in your body, it ends up translating physically speaking. So, what do you think? What's your take on this, Adriana?
I absolutely love how today you're all primordial water and I'm all primordial fire, right? Like, as you were talking this beautifully about the water, I mean, the first goddess, right? It says that the goddess mother, she was the one who lived in the water and she would sort of release her eggs, right? And then the masculine was the energy, kind of like the thunder that would come in and then it would fertilize those eggs, right? And that's supposedly how the first of us were created. That was the first original primordial mother. And that's why it's so important to heal the emotions. And one very powerful line is, my emotions are not me. They just a part of me, and I get to choose what I'm going to do with those emotions. And as a humanity, we're currently going through healing all the parts of emotions, hence the water and all the things coming up for healing. And how do you shift and transform or change something? You use fire, right? Even with the water, you will bring the fire and it will go into this beautiful energy of steam. And what does steam do? It moves you forward in life, right? Like, stagnation is gone. We're coming into June. June is all about clarity. Okay. And that clarity that is currently taking place once that Jupiter goes into Mars, it's all about the passion. So it's all about your passion. Where are you going in life? Where do you belong? Where are you going to fit in? How are you going to use that water? Your water, I mean, we are what, 70, 80%, even more of water inside of our cells, inside of our bodies. Lemuria is connected to physical body, right? To physical heart. Right now, it's all about rebuilding and healing so powerfully back in your heart, and then using that passion, that fire. One goddess is Sekhmet, but there's so many other goddesses, right? Today's Friday, it's also Goddess Day, right? All this divine passion coming through in the energy, right? I think it's a Taurus moon, which again, it's a feminine ruled by Venus. It's a feminine energy that's trickling in. If you notice, there has been a lot of shifts and changes. I don't think a lot of conscious people, we look at ourselves. I have a masculine side and I have a feminine side, and sometimes I act more masculine because I get what I want, and sometimes I receive more feminine. So I think as a humanity, we're coming into this place where I don't look at you as you are a man and I'm a woman. Now it's like, oh, what do you need? Are you more feminine today? Are you more masculine today?
I
And
love
you getting what you want. You see, this is what I'm seeing in this universe of, like, we're just fluidly moving to that, like, the differentiation of, like, the sexes, it's kind of gone. It's just like, are you in this mode or are you in that mode? Do you need to receive or do you need to give? Are you initiating or you're allowing to come into your energy? So I would say that's exactly what the two polarities are. You're the water today, I'm the fire, right? Like, I'm all about getting and moving and transmuting. I'm in the fives, you're in the water, which is 888. I got your code anyway today. You came through already. So very much to resonate with what you said. I actually can't wait to go back there because Hawaii has been screaming and calling, to come back. And then later on, we'll be going to Italy, and there's going to be more codes in Italy, which I can't wait. But let's go into divine sexuality that you would like to go into.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, I love how you were talking about it's coming now stronger, regardless of the gender, like what energy are you in today? Instead of what's your mood today, what's your energy today? So, and that's the thing. I feel that you also mentioned confusion and then clarity in the upcoming months. I feel that there have been so many timeline shifts that at some point that has been very confusive, like saying seriously, like what am I going to wake up today? What is going to be waiting for me? What type of reality? Because even the shifts have been, and to some extent, very drastic, like very evident. It's not like perhaps something very subtle that you'll say, perhaps something slept there, through the informational field. I didn't resolve something and then something slipped very subtly. No, it's something that you say, oh wow, where did that come from? So, and I think that that's because as a collective we're also experiencing specific factions that are fighting over the timeline, the core timeline, to say it somehow, which is the collective timeline. So we are uh, shifting timelines, then they are trying to shift timelines. So it's like this toggle war, which, well, I don't even see it like as a war from here. It's just acknowledging our power and our responsibility, so then it's continuously configuring the best timeline for us to embody right here, right now. And for me now, related to what you said, one of the biggest powers to achieve that is the creative force. You know, how many ways do people, or do these groups, institutions, use um, things like in the media, like porn, like or war, like things that rise the survival instinct, because all that type of energy is creative force. How isn't fear destructive force? Well, for there to be destruction there needs to be creation. So it's very much like connecting with one another. It's just different gradients of that creation force, or the different order, in which it exists. So the thing is that if we become responsible of our divine creative energy, then we won't have energy to serve other type of institutions or factions that are trying to uh, take advantage of our energy. So I mean, regardless, there are so many ways to actually experience your divine sensual energy. We have the tantra, which is actually an act of making love to everything, and this leads to something magnificent, which is not being afraid of your power. Because perhaps sometimes, you are really feeling like the joy, the bliss of what everything is, like even before going live and meeting you online, I was thinking about how grateful I am for everything that I have experienced so far in my life. And that level of bliss, of gratitude, leads to bliss and then to ecstasy. Why? Because you become aware, you allow yourself to acknowledge what a powerful creator and co-creator you are, and not being afraid of it, not being afraid of intimidating anyone, just allowing yourself to express your power. I mean, divine tribe, divine soul tribe, you joining us right now or later, how many times have you suppressed your power because it could have been too much for others? Like perhaps you feel like, I don't know, making love to the water, and then you start thinking, ooh, am I going to be too much? Is people going to think And then you can also ask, oh, come on, Isha, like, what's the difference of that? Like if you sip the water like this, or if you just sip it and leave the cup there, what's the difference? The difference is the frequency that you are carrying at that moment. Because with one, you're creating immensely amounts of harmonics. With the other one, you're just automatically doing something. So the Native Americans, all these indigenous tribes knew it, know it. They honor everything that they are connecting with. They acknowledge their existence. They are grateful for it. And then you might say, well, yeah, but now, like, where are they? They have this reality has, you know, segmented big part of their population. Yes, because according to the critical mass, at that time, the other people that were asleep were more. And as other ascended masters, avatars, it's like they were born in an era, in a stage of human evolution that was the top one, so they chose that. Yet now it's different. Now we are more. Now the critical mass is actually, just to honor the water.
Yeah. Cheers to that.
Cheers to, oh,
I bless
I
this
love
water
it.
to the highest vibration, light and love and passion, and so it is.
Yes. Cheers to everyone joining us. Mm. So, for instance, so yes, now it's not the same. We cannot have the same result because the constants are different. And now, if we start honoring and again making love to everything that we are doing, you will see how your life is shifting. You seriously will not recognize, or it might be difficult for you to believe it in the beginning or not, who knows, but if you try it, you will see the huge variation that your life will show when you are grateful, when you make love, when you use from that bliss to experience everything that is coming through your reality through your own creation, whether if it's from a state of awareness or not. So, and now, before getting to the other thing, I would love to listen you, Adriana, before getting to another a more intimate level of that divine union that doesn't need to happen with someone else. Perhaps if you don't have a partner, you can have that divine union with yourself, and which also leads a lot to the process of remembrance, reactivating your memories. And I will tell you why, guys, in a bit. But what about you, Adriana? What do you think about that sacred energy?
Well, I absolutely love it. I was going to say something really funny. Way back when in a day, I had a neighbor who had this greatest idea to sell fish hooks. And I said to him, well, why? He was a fisherman, right? And he's like, I really want to make this fish hooks. And I said, well, what makes your fish hook different than all the other fish hooks on the market? How are you going to sell it? And he was like, well, I'm going to get a couple of hot girls in the bathing suits, and all the men are going to show up, and I'm going to sell them my hooks. Okay. So back to that primal divine passion, right? Like, we are humans, right? We have pheromones, we have chemistry. We create chemistry and a vibration and a sound in our body. Everybody's humming. Your heart is humming at a certain different vibration. And so when you find someone that is humming at the same level as you, there's that natural, chemistry that will occur, attraction that will occur, because the physical body is always, and as we talk about this, it's 444.
Mhm.
Physical body is always looking to create the highest vibration of two different, most biggest polarities and bring them together into one. Okay, and so yes, one can be a single person, does not have to be in a relationship, because usually what happens is divine feminine will inspire divine masculine, and it happens from a creative sacral chakra. She will inspire his creative chakra, which then goes into his heart, awakens the feelings for him, and then he creates for her. It's always like that. It doesn't matter what actual sex they are in a 3D. It's there's always an aspect of feminine that will inspire masculine, and he will create for her. And the way that it works is, if you're single and you're wishing and desiring to create something, if you are truly one with the universe, the people will show up for you to co-create with you. And I've seen it time and again. Okay, meaning I could be a single female wanting to create something, and then bam, out of blue, a masculine will show up and he's working on that project with me. Or there's a friend of mine who's a masculine wanting to bring something, birth something into this existence, and here's me, hello, with my divine feminine. You want help with that? I'm glad to, show up and do this for you as a favor, because that is what it is. Universe will always give you and show up for you. So don't be like, oh, I've been alone forever. How am I ever gonna, manifest something? Because manifestation doubles when you have both polarities, whatever you want to call that polarity, masculine and feminine. And when they merge, you just like, zoom, right? Like you produce that next level. But don't worry if you're single, you've been single for a long time. You have to be at peace with the masculine and the feminine. Work on yourself. That's why all these great teachers say, be at peace with yourself, be at peace at all that is. And what you took it to the next level, be at love with all that is, right? Because as you are in love, then pieces and parts and people that you need for you, for your manifestation, your heart has to be pure. I do a lot of relationship coaching. And the first rule is your heart has to be pure. I don't care if, like there's some beliefs you have to have um just one partner. Some are in polyamorous relationship. I don't condone any of it. But no matter what the relationship is, you have to have integrity, respect, and love and connection with that person, right? You got to build that rapport with that person, whichever way you choose to, so that you don't cross contaminate, right? So that you have that sacred union of conscious creation together. And I think that's the biggest key, because you always need two polarities in the order for them to come together. So back to you, please.
Yeah. I felt like, in these news shows, like back to you, Adriana. And
This
well,
is what's
here
happening
the
in
fire
California.
report is
98 degrees
woo.
Fahrenheit.
The weather report is hot here. But anyway, so I think is that now that you're talking about these polarities, it brought me to, like the true north and the true south. And the thing is that if we look even at the axis tilt of the heart as in resemblance to the Earth's to the Earth's tilt, axis tilt, then we have another factor, and which is the blind spot. If you look at the diagram of the blind spot within your range, the range in which you get to see your reality, you will see that it's, like that same variation that the heart shows of 30 degrees, and the Earth's axis tilt around 23.6. So what is this telling us? If we correlate that blind spot, what is that blind spot doing? It is filling in the gaps of blindness with the information that you already know from your past memories, what your logic tells you that there will be in that blind spot. So literally, you're just coloring holographically that angle, those angles, that variability, in the tilt of your in your visual tilt. So what does this mean? That axis tilt, instead of us connecting to that true north and that true south, to see that there is an impeccability in what we are bringing in from source and what manifests. So there are two variants that I connect this to. First one that I always mention is the time dilation. It's not the same creating from higher densities than then manifesting here. There will be a time dilation depending on the gradients of densities that are whether too coherent or not coherent at all. In other words, if you bring like this magnificent manifestation of your dream reality, whatever you like, your highest timeline, and your reality shows something completely different, then it will take longer. But it can also accelerate the moment that you start doing the shifts around your reality to bring that coherence that will funnel in that manifestation, those codes, those informational spheres that you manifested at higher densities. So the other one would be like, if you are not aligned to that true north, then you're continuously aiming to the north, but it's automatically misleaded, by 23.6 degrees. And then you say, almost, you know? So, what about this? The moment that we start reconnecting to that primordial field, like right now, right here, calling in for your organic and natural and given connection to that primordial field, for you to start remembering the truth about your origin beyond beyond the distortion, beyond the lies, beyond the non-evident, the evident, I'm sorry, beyond the evident, to actually connect to that true essence. You don't need to have any idea what you're connecting with. That's the thing. Remember, it's that blind spot that you don't need anymore to fill in with looping systems of memories that are just recreating, recessive programs within you. It's the unknown, but the unknown not as a chaotic force as they normally define it. Because if we're also talking about the potential field, and we were talking about the power that we have with our sexual energy, we were talking about this at the Star Knowledge Conference. One of the reasons why they don't let women that are menstruating to be part of the beautiful ceremonies, because of the energy that they generate together. It's massive, that can lead to other type of things, and they even gave to me some examples that, of course, it's not meant for me to talk about. But so I was seeing, like, that uncomprehended power of the potential field, that they say, oh, don't worry, just use the guideline, it will take you there. Don't worry, just use what has been given to you. Just keep on looping keep on refreshing those looping systems. You're okay. Because if you get to see beyond the curtain and be brave enough to embrace yourself, your true self, no, that can be cataclysmic. Come on, you can kill people. That's not pure. Oh, no, what are you trying? Are you trying to be too much? Are you trying to overshadow the others or step on the others? No, that's the power of the divine feminine. And of course, the divine masculine also has many powers, but just now referring to the potential energy, you know, why? because one of the things that from my experience, I can tell is that the stronger that the more empowered that the divine feminine is, the stronger that you are, not weak. Because a lot of people feel that, oh, if you're too feminine, oh, you're like, like just, oh, yeah. And that's completely not true. Why? Because you don't need to rise a gun, you don't need to rise a knife to make yourself seen and to impress fear in the other for the other to listen. You just need to rise your energy, your frequency, because with one gentle word, you can change realities. Of course, this is not all the time. This is why we have different energies. Yet, if we start uncovering the power of sensuality, which is not that distorted feminine, that toxic feminine that abuses from her sexuality or his sexuality to obtain whatever they want. I'm talking about a truly empowered and very with a high self-esteem being that knows that with that power of that divine feminine can actually shape reality without even needing to touch it. Like that level of importance is the potential force, the plasma force, because it's the space. So, those grandmothers or even the elders that they say that they don't need to manifest through this in the same way that everyone does. Like if they want to plant a tree, they don't need to go literally and put the seed and plant a tree. There are other ways that they can achieve it, so that level of shaping the field. So, and now just to bring into the other topic, which is how would this fire, because you mentioned like a lot of divine beings that embody that uh, plasma essence, as fire I'm talking about. But how would that fire get to ignite the flame of the heart without losing itself? What would you say?
So back to what you were saying, the masculine and the feminine. Usually the masculine gives it a form and the feminine gives it the power or whatever the creation is in there. So that's why they say masculine leads, right? She gives the vision, but he leads. He creates, right? Puts it in a 3D if already. Um, even when you're creating a child, you have the masculine and the feminine. You have the fire coming into the water, right? So the two are being combined into one. So, what would I say? How would that work with the fire? How do you keep yourself? You always want to be connected to yourself, which is your true north that you talked about. I like what Masadi says. How do I connect to my purest possible self? That's one of the things that he said you meditate on every day. So, staying in your heart, staying in your truth, your gut is one of the best things that's going to tell you if something resonates. You can for sure know if you walk in somewhere and all of a sudden your stomach, solar plexus starts pulsating, and you go, oh, why am I getting activated? I'm not comfortable with something. It's telling me that my body, my physical body, it's telling me that I'm not okay. And how many people not listen to their intuition? Oh, I knew I should have not done that. Like I talked to so many people and they're like, I should have not done that. I knew it. And I'm like, well, but you learned, didn't you? Next time, listen to your physical body. So it really is like that power in your solar plexus is the first thing, and then your throat will be a second thing, right? Like, is it for me? It's not for me. If it's for me, you have to stay in that integrity, in that purity, being connected to yourself. Learn these little things from nature, from your physical body. where do you fit? Where do you belong? Where are you being called to? What resonates for you? Like I always talk about this, none of us have the same mission. We're not passionate about the same thing. So step into your passion, right? Even if you're doing a full time job to provide financials for something, are you doing your passion on the side, right? Like, are you expressing that passion? And even if you don't know what it is, allow things come to you. I remember years back at the time of my awakening, I was standing in a Barnes and Noble and I looked around, I'm like, what book is for me? What am I meant to read? I was simply asking my higher self, and there was this black book with a yellow sunflower on it, and he just jumped and he jumped and he jumped over and over at me. And I'm like, but I wanted something spiritual, like that's what I'm trying to grow. But it was this book, and so I picked up the book, and it was the Anesthesia series book, which once you read it, it touches you on so many different deep, profound spiritual shift to change. It's about this girl from Russia who's connected to everything and all that is and in love with everything that is. And she kind of gives you the rules to living a pure, high integrity life. And no wonder it jumped at me, because as I read it, she said the way she wrote the words through Vladimir Megre was that as you read it, it starts shifting and changing you physically, right? So, yes, her vibration was working through the books, and I was shifting and changing through it too. Just which our vibration or our voice will do that too, right? As we're speaking, whoever is listening, we're changing their reality. You know, when you go and you meet someone, and now they're showing you that point of view, you go, wow, I never thought of that, right? Like that in itself already was a merge. We already talked about this, right? Like you already went there when they had an opinion and you merged with their opinion. Did you guys actually have to have any kind of a mating, a ritual? No. You just accepted an opinion they had. You just kind of exploded your mind, your brain, right? And so this is the key of like, how do you incorporate it? You are in love with all that is, whether you judge it that it's good, whether you judge it that it's bad, just be in acceptance of it. And then the more you are in acceptance, the more you're aligned, south and north. Because think about it. If you have a person that's really happy and you have a person that's really sad, how are they ever going to match? They're never going to match. But if you have two happy people, yay! You know what I mean? Or they say misery loves company. Yeah, right? Like, right? Talking about the alignment. You were just talking about the alignment and
This
she
is why
spoke
we're
about
doing
it.
this show. Yeah, this is why we're doing this show. We're a couple of happy people.
Exactly. The fire in the water. Anyway, but we're different enough where then we meet in the middle, right? And get that balance in between the two. But yes, as you're aligned, then things really start aligning for you. That manifestation becomes effortless because you said, I don't have to plant the tree with the seeds. I can feed the squirrel with the nut, and it's gonna go and store those nuts, right? And it's gonna plant the tree somewhere, and thank you, universe. It has happened, right? But that's only one way. There's many other different ways, right? I just thought of one as you said it. Correct. So a lot of different things in universe. All you have to do is have that desire in your heart, and then you have to watch the universe do its magnificent dance to give that desire back to you. That is a true mastery. That is how you have that Christic flame, that flame of passion. That's how you keep it ignited, being one with all, being respectful of all that there is, right? So that nothing's out of balance. Too much water out of balance, too much fire out of balance, right? Like
Yeah.
what you said, they keep us in loops over and over and over.
Yeah. Yeah, like the colors of the rainbow, you for have in order to have a rainbow, you need to have the same gradient of each color for it to be that, for it to be that wholeness. And for me, like just to briefly touch upon again, like that true north and that true south. Um when you expand your heart and you're capable to go as above as wherever it will take you, and to go as below as wherever it will take you. In that moment, it's not about you going through a very high curve, and touching the heavens and then going through a very low curve and then touching hell. Perhaps, perhaps not. It's just a matter of how your passion lets you embrace whatever you need to experience. Why? Because you trust yourself no matter what. And I feel that the self trust is such a powerful alchemy that if you were going to go deep into the low curve, you will just go a little. Why? Because you have created a miracle. You have shown to yourself that you don't need to go that deep because you already got what it's about, transcending fear. Fear is one of the things that keeps us with the axis tilt. When you are straight up and just embracing and allowing the reality to be, why? Because you know that your essence is what is essential for your universe to be. That's what creates the power of unity consciousness. And this is so important for us to, how I experience it, for us to remember how to truly become um, uh, those tribes that were before. Because you know that if you're standing up in the right axis, you don't need to take from the other to even yourself into balance. You're just aligned to your own purpose, to your own mission, and fully in love with who you are and trusting. Because self love and self trust doesn't mean that you're folding your arms crossed and saying, whatever is meant to come to my way, it will come. Everything is perfect. No, that's a huge let's say, lie that has been sold to the spiritual community so that everyone just stays, sitting and, not actioning. Because it's not the same acceptance and then doing what is required to achieve where you're heading to than just waiting for something to come and make your reality for yourself. That's where we're coming from. That's why we co created the reality that we are seeing, where everyone wants to step on the other and saying, well, you were not willing to choose by yourself, so I chose for yourself all the time. So it's now more about, okay, that was, now it is different. So using an advantage those timeline shifts, because within every shift of time, within every jumping from timeline to timeline, or from a spatial temporal constant to a spatial temporal constant, you have that gap, you have that time frame to actually collapse reality. How? Through accepting and bringing in your perceptions together of what should be and what is meant to be. Now, here's the deal: the should be comes from the ego, what you were taught. What it's meant to be is what your heart is telling you to. That you're not even putting, like, I know it will happen and I'm where I need to be for it to happen. It's not you're just waiting for the universe to drag you for you to occupy your place. So in that point of communion of those timelines, you can bring in the fields together through acceptance. And this is a huge key that has been tried to been taken away from us. How? Through rejection, through victimism, through pointing out to the other. You mentioned that our emotions are our choice, like how we perceive them. Therefore, they're our responsibility. And with our emotions, that's the energy in motion that we require, whether to trigger something and transcend it, or whether to stay stagnant. Yet it's up to us. Like for instance, and now I have, like a quantum message from that I need to bring to mention. It's Venus. You also mentioned Venus. So and you were mentioning the pentagram. So what is the pentagram? The pentagram, it's also the five elements. It's also the ether. Like for instance, I was the other day reading, I knew it. Uh, like when people do this, everyone is like, oh, but then I said, but why? This is the finger that connects to the heart, directly to the aorta. Like this is where the Celtics and the Druids put the ring for the wedding. Why? Because it's the closest to the heart. So I was wondering why then they use it for other things. And then I saw a post that was saying that it also represents the ether. And I was like, yes, of course, because it's the head, so like all those type of distortions. And so now in the case of Venus is also known in some hermetic knowledge or texts as Lucifer, and Lucifer as the light barrier or the light carrier. So, just to bring into the table the fact that we know, and everybody talks about this, how there has been a lot of distortion between divine feminine and divine masculine, between north and south, you know and the thing is that, as you said, in order for them to come together, heaven and earth, or let's say better, heaven and underground, for them to come together into the earth in full wholeness, because also we know that in other times inner earth wasn't hell as they depicted it. Inner earth was more about, the deeper you go into the core, the faster that you get out of this matrix. And I'm not saying about escaping. You just move out into another dimension from the earth's core. So for them to, the thing is that they showed us how to separate them, how to polarize them. But it's like as a collective, we had overstayed in that polarization, in that holographic polarization. Now it's the turn to come together. And how does that happen? When there is symmetry within them, a critical mass. So by means of this is, wherever you are being called to do, to be, embrace your power, occupy your place, step up, believe in yourself. That is passion. And humanity right now is lacking passion. Why? Because their genitals, they are not in authority of their own genitals. Why? Because there are a lot of things trying to attach, because there are a lot of ignorance regarding to when you have intercourse, where is your energy at? There are parasites, there is this, there is that. So all that energy that is normally held in the sacral, it's like no one's land, or it comes as no one's land, but then everyone starts like, okay, I take this, I take that, I take that, and the thing is that we are super sexual beings, not sexual, because even the word sexual is division. We are very sensual beings. By means of this, we are penetrating each other's field all the time. If we translate this in a linear form, this means that we're having sex all the time with one another, even just by sharing codes. Why? Because as I said last time, my codes are penetrating into your field, you're receiving them, and the other way around. So, in a linear way, in a mundane form, that's having sex. So, now in an energetic form, when we are aware that we are doing that all the time, then we become more responsible of how we are using that creative force. Words. What are you saying? What codes are you exchanging? What timelines are you creating? Where is your sexual force? Where is your creative force? Wherever is your creative force, there will be your passion. If your creative force is within you, your passion will be within you. So perhaps if you want to ask yourself, where is your passion at right now? And if it's within you, okay, good. If not, bring it. It belongs to you. Because with that passion, then you have hope. With that passion, you have inspiration, you have a muse of creation. And then actually, you can spark the flame of your heart. Because even though the heart is the epicenter, as we are in very low frequencies regarding to the material density, what involve that this reality involves, we require that passion because it's the same language. If we are just heart, we can super accelerate the heart, but we need to be grounded, and passion grounds.
Correct. And so, one thing, back to the attachments and
Yeah.
parasites that take your energy, of course, your creative energy. How can you bring yourself back? So, easiest thing, use the heart in your hand, somatic exercise. I'm here. This is literally how you bring yourself back. I am here. This takes tells your physical body that you are present in this moment, in this dimension here. I'm here. If you have any kind of sexual attachments from previous relationship, you can use that same hand and go into your navel and also say, I am here, which brings you back to you. And then you can say, I call all of my energy across time and space from whomever, knowingly and unknowingly, having been attached to return back to me in a highest vibration of light and love, or purity and love and integrity. And that's how you call your energy back. There was a question I saw someone ask, how do you protect yourself from psychic attack? And the thing is, psychic attacks happen when you're leaking somewhere in your energy, which I will allow you answer that question too, Isha. You have energy leaks and you possibly don't even know. Could be you signed this, or you were tied to someone who then was tied to someone else, and they're siphoning energy off of you. So when psychic attack comes, ask yourself why was this happening to me, and what inside of me, and where do I have a leak? So scan your physical body, check in, and then clearly go, I'm here. Call your energy back. See it as a possible, you know, ability to shift and change. People get so afraid, oh, I got psychically attacked. All right, they tried. So I had energy leakage. I need to sit with myself. How do you transform emotions? Speaking about emotions, emotion lasts anywhere from 60 to 90 seconds to move through your body. A lot of people won't even touch it. Oh, I can't possibly. That felt very uncomfortable. Okay. But, and then you get blocks. If you won't touch the emotion, you get a blockages in the emotional body or in the body, or it's called disease. Okay, so the key really is to sit with the emotion. It will be very uncomfortable from 60 to 90 seconds, but then you master it and it does not own you anymore. Okay, that's a really biggest key. And then whatever was so uncomfortable, wherever you got attacked, that's when my energy leakage is. You sit there in gratitude. Thanks for highlighting that, because I was able to sit with myself and process it. One of the ways I like to process it, go for a walk, go by the beach, have an Epsom salt bath, magnesium bath, go to a gym, listen to a good music, but definitely spend time alone without stimuli, because that emotion needs time to be processed. And that's why psychic attacks happen. They simply show you where your weak spot is. So how would you answer that question, Isha?
Well, I agree with everything that you said. And for me, first is knowing that whatever is coming to your head and it's feeling very uncomfortable, just debunk it. Because the moment that you start bargaining with it, like, oh, was it that way? Oh, wait, is it true? Oh, like that moment, it hooks you, and then it will start coming.
A
you
loop.
know. Exactly, it will bring you into a huge loop, and perhaps you can clear it for a while, but then it will come again. But the moment that you're truly aware that, oh, me, and you can even laugh, and you can even, like, say, it's not giving your energy to that. And a very powerful thing that from my experience I share is that if it's like too heavy, like coming over and over and over again, you just bring it, you give it a texture, a smell, a color, a shape, and a name. Once you gave, it's like you are creating it. You're creating the clay dummy. So once you created it, then you embrace it and you start expanding your heart, and expanding and expanding and expanding and expanding and expanding your heart, and feeling a lot of compassion for that dummy because you are now aware of what it is. If you want to sat on that and see, okay, if I gave to it that color and that shape and that smell, perhaps it's bringing me to that memory, you can go for it. Nevertheless, what I have been experiencing right now is that the processes are simplifying in a way that you don't need to sit and super analyzing everything. Why? Because the universe is mental. So wherever you open, wherever it will take you. So if you are very much set into your power, you can say, okay, so you're looking at it, you're embracing it, and then you start feeling compassion for it. You see how the compassion is also very much connected to the passion, because it's that fragment of the passion where you are capable to feel empathy for without attaching. So for instance, if that figure that you're looking at, and that is that constant thought, you start feeling, it brings you to someone, like something or someone that you can see that it's suffering, and this is why it's sending that energy at you, even if it's like a huge institution or a huge group or whatever. That level of compassion, that level of heart expansion will make it so vulnerable to you that it will start dissolving. And then you can bring in all those pieces of how it's being defragmented, and then call in the force of source of the primordial field, bring it in, bring it in, bring it in, bring it in, having that compassion for that energy, and letting that energy, that consciousness, to know that there is another reality, until they merge, and then they create bliss to the world, because whatever was being sent at you will become something higher, it will become a higher truth. Another thing is that some things are not so easy to dissolve. So for that, you can, because also you cannot impose yourself, it's free will. So if you feel that it's not something that's meant to be dissolved, what you can do is create a holographic cube with, for instance, a very neutral code that brings in unity consciousness, so that that energy is placed there for as long as it's needed until it comes to unity consciousness by itself, and then the holographic cube will open, and then that energy will be evolving. So these three main things. Yet the first one would be practice. Prove yourself how much detached you can be from those things that are being trying to put at you. The more that you laugh at them, but not, like in a mean way, in a way that you say, like, that's not me, I know who I am, and then anchor on that, and anchor on that, and amplifying your heart, amplifying your heart, amplifying your heart, amplifying your heart, amplifying your heart. You can. And if you have just even a gradient of fear, dissolve it, because through fear everything filters. So if you fear that you cannot take on that pill, then it will come. But if you know that you've got this, then it will lose all its power.
Well, that was beautifully said.
Thank you.
I love the cube. And so that one's going in a cube and that one's going. No, I'm kidding. Adriana, why so many cubes everywhere you go? There's
Next
cubes.
time that I see you, what happened there?
So started dating, and so that was in a cube, and that was in a cube, and that one sent me an appropriate messages in a cube.
Use the cube with responsibility, you guys. Oh,
Of course.
this is
Well,
perfect.
trust me. I've used your cube. I've met you for a little while now, and I did use the cube. And when you put someone in that cube, you're putting your relationship with them in that cube. So you know what that means? You're going in that cube too. So even though you might have been like, I'm putting them in a cube, you actually transform and change completely where all is love and there is absolutely no attachment whatsoever, and it's neutral, and that's exactly the place where you want to be. You don't want to be in a crazy love, you don't want to be in a crazy hate either. You want to be in a neutral, right? The love and respect, it's ultimately what we're going for.
Yes, and thank you for bringing that up because it's super important. Like 99.99999% of the times, like because she was asking about psychic attacks as far as I was concerned. Yet if you're having things with an ex partner or a partner or a friend or your mother or your father, be aware that if they are acting crazily, it's not forcefully them. Right now there are a lot of energies, a lot of um, entities trying to imprint themselves in the field of others. So if those people have uh, like leaks, energy leaks, or holes, or gaps, or whatever, then they are pretty vulnerable to those type of attacks. So this is a very good way of how not to take it personally, because regardless what they say, regardless what they do, that person, if it's acting out of range, it's because something is influencing that person to act in that way. So I'm not saying, like, oh, so then, don't do anything. No, do your thing, do whatever feels coherent to you. Just be aware that there is a lot of that taking place. So don't put yourself into that spectrum, that if someone is very like attacking you, you become the victim, or the other way around, and you become unconsciously the oppressor, and then the other becomes the victim.
No, go into place of neutrality of observation. Something that I do is I observe the person. I detach emotionally immediately, and I am observing them, and I'm wondering, and I can tell that they're going through something, which, there's some pain that has been touched. So I will allow them to talk about it if they need to. I can even ask the question, oh, why is that so? Right? Like, why do you feel this way? And then we can go into details if they're open about talking about it, why they feel that way until their perception shifts and changes, right? Um, so, oh, that's interesting. Yes. So, what you could do, you can put them in a black cube. No, I'm kidding. You could actually, see why they're coming from that place. We are love. We are going to come from the place of love. We always return to the place of love. And it can feel sometimes when you love somebody so much that why do I love them so much and they don't love me back? Right? That's one aspect. I love them so much and they don't love me back. Do you see how you're out of balance? How you need to come back into balance with that? Why? Ask yourself, why do I love them so much? Why do I care so much? And try to bring yourself into the neutral, because the more you want them to come into the place of love with you, the more you're going to repel them. Remember what I said. If are we enjoy together, or are one is sad and one is happy, right? It's the same thing. It's like you love them so much and they don't love you back, right? Like, how can you meet in the middle where everything is neutral? Right? So the more you love them, the more they're not going to love you. It's simply how it works. It will just keep balancing out. So you can start asking yourself, what inside of me loves them so much, and why do I need their acceptance and approval? Because if you're a true neutral, you love them anyway, and you're at peace with loving them anyway, because I love you whether you love me or not. What do I care if you love me? Love and falling in love and being in a relationship, actually, it's a lone road, because I fall in love with you. It's what I feel for you. It's what you invoke inside of me. It has nothing to do with you. It's the vibration of your soul song and how you make me feel. And looking at you fills my heart with joy. And then why would I judge you that you don't love me the same way? How could you love me the same way if I don't invoke the same song in your heart that you invoke in mine? You see that? Like, be at peace with that you love that person, that you love the way their melody sounds like, that you care. And why, ask yourself, why do I care? Because I want someone to care for me. That's going to be one of the answers. So then sit with that. Why do I feel that someone doesn't care for me? See, there's like a wealth of information of sitting with yourself and asking these questions and coming to the true bottom. But in relationship, always is everything always is a lone road. It's you loving and being mirrored back to yourself. I mean, being with someone, you learn so much about yourself. I always tell people, I have a lot of clients that are looking for love, and when they first start dating, and I said, go out there, start dating, find out, because universe always first gives you what you don't need if you don't know what you want, right? Like, you don't know what you want, so then the universe is like, well, here's the bowl. You want to drink from this? And then you go, no, I don't want to drink from that. Okay, so do you want to drink from this? Yeah, this looks a lot better. Gives you a bottle. You want to drink from a bottle? I don't know if bottle is for me. It's the same thing when you go out there and meet different people. Not everyone's going to be your friend. Not everyone, fits for something. Someone's going to teach you lesson. Some you're going to love horribly. Some are going to love horribly you. And it's all love. It's all learning how to master your emotions. What do you think?
Well, I was thinking while you were saying all of that, that critical mass, like how does that apply? How does the critical mass apply to that? How, yeah. So, for instance, like if you, Eric, are going through memories, like holding memories, the way that you perceive those memories is what is causing you pain. If you perceive them differently, because if they are stuck, they're coming over and over again, is for something, for you to perceive them differently, perhaps not as something that took away from you, yet something that gave you. And when you start truly seeing those memories in that way, then they serve their purpose. And then perhaps you will have other type of memories trying to bring you down. But then again, it's how are you perceiving those memories? Are you perceiving them as something that took away from you or something that gave you? And mainly, again, when you trust yourself, you truly trust what you're going through, because and I'm not, and this has nothing to do with ego. This is actually very humbling, because you are capable to bow to yourself, to bow in direction to your heart, to say, hey, I trust you. And whatever is the reason why you created or co created this, I believe in you. And I choose to see what is coming up next, focus my energy in what is coming up next. and but not as, like looking to the other side, being open to see the memories, to feel the emotions, and invite yourself to again shift your perception on that. So, where is the power of your perception? That is the thing. And this is where it's related to the critical mass, because you don't need to have like a lot of good memories to be able to say, okay, I let go. It's about how powerful you make those memories. And wherever your perception is, bring it to you. That is super important, because sometimes your perception is behind any belief system, behind other type like others expectations, behind fear, behind. So bring in your perception, claim your perception, be sovereign, make yourself sovereign through your perception. And that will be my what I could say about that.
Do we have any other questions there? I
I'm
cannot
currently
see all of
having,
them.
oh, that's
Okay,
beautiful.
good. I'm glad to hear this. Yeah, it's all returned back to self, being in acceptance all with all that is. That's how you can be possibly, in a good relationship with someone else, especially if there are things from the past that still ail you or you have a hard time with. You can always sit with yourself and go back to those places and give them love, give them acceptance, which Isha was saying, give them compassion, your old self, the people that are in your heart. And then remember, I'm here. Bring yourself back into your physical body, into this given moment.
Well, that's beautiful, Adriana. That's beautiful. And I just highlighted this comment because for
Mhm.
some reason he mentioned Osiris, in a specific context. But I do want to bring Osiris because Osiris is like the typical code for what can be perceived of to what can I'm sorry, what can be perceived as sacrifice or transcendence and full illumination. Like a lot of people see him as that code of the one that was killed 3 times by his brother, and then you know his beloved Isis brought him back from the death. But then again, it was they kind of mummified, and his penis was gone, his phallus was gone, so it was replaced with a golden phallus. So I believe that all of those, I'm not saying whether that happened or whether if that's just mythos. What I'm saying is that definitely it's a code, and definitely is based on perception. So for me, if we address to that as a code, one of the huge things that actually it's important in a way to empower our own divine masculine is giving that expression of ourselves a lot of love, but not a love that is not from the need, not from the savior, not from an ISIS code that here I came to save you, because that's the other way around as it's normally is, like the masculine is the savior. Here, Isis, the feminine, is the savior. And I think that from savior to savior, like the relationships have, because it's actually, I'm here not to save anyone. I'm here to be with you. And that's super important. And I do feel like connecting into the crystalline records of Lemuria, that is a huge part of what I was talking about of unity consciousness. Everyone is responsible for himself or herself. The moment that you start gathering the pieces of yourself that were left through many ideas in the outside, are bringing them back from within, then that savior idea cannot be sold to you anymore, because again, as I was saying, that's giving our power, even if it's to a girlfriend, to a boyfriend, to mother, father, sister, whatever, you know? And we think that we are the good guys for being the saviors, yet actually we're castrating the other, you know? And we are actually coming into harvesting their power unconsciously or consciously, because that need from the other is granting power to the other, to the one that is the savior. So artists, like celebrities, idols, all of those things, they go through that savior um, archetype, just in a different way. So for me, yeah, mentioning Osiris, like, I don't know if you know about any correlation from the Hawaiian cosmology regarding to this divine masculine and divine feminine.
I don't know exactly because, of course, there are definite Hawaiian gods too. I work more with the smaller ones, the small beings that are, once we come to the big island, are gonna be there. They just like popped up everywhere. They're about maybe 3 feet height, and they're really cute and they look so tribal. I call them like tiki beings. They're on a big island. And so they have their own magic. It's like one of the old primordial magics that you're gonna feel. Then you're really gonna feel the goddess Pele, that it's so, so, so powerful. And that's gonna be a huge transformative power that we're gonna have while we're there on a big island, through that fire, through that shift, through that change. So yeah, then once we go on to Lemurian land in Kauai, that's going to be quite different rejuvenation energy. And what's currently going on, it's a lot of rejuvenation as well, energetically. So that's why we're receiving a lot of codes. Again, like I said, it's Friday. Friday is Divine Feminine Goddess Day. So a lot of nourishment, rejuvenation coming in today, which is very, very powerful, strong also. So just give yourself time and space to process this weekend. I love the timing, how Friday always comes before the weekend. And then you get, you have some time to yourself in the order to sit in the meditation, read some really good book, allow some more codes to come in, that is strong. I know that we're nearing towards the end because you're going to have to get going time wise. So
Yeah.
if you would like to talk about, Hawaii and our upcoming trip.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a few minutes yet. I know that every time that you and I go live, it can take, so I already prepared my schedule, to.
Okay, I just want to make sure because it's
Yeah.
usually 2 hours that we're like getting into best talks at
Yeah.
2 hours. Yeah. So do we have any questions from the audience? Oh
Um,
yeah, we do have a new moon coming up. Somebody brought that up. We do have a new moon in Gemini at 27 degrees. Again, Gemini is connecting light and dark, to opposite, masculine, feminine. This conscious and subconscious, that's what Gemini is. So we're all getting a lot of upgrades with that. Before you have a new moon, which for me, I'm in California, so new moon will fall on Sunday. So that day before the new moon, it's called the dark of the moon. And usually is when people are losing it the most because they're trying to release everything in the order for the new moon to sow new seeds. So if you see that a lot of people are having a hard time, or really give yourself time to process, I would say today and tomorrow, give yourself time to process, have an Epsom salt bath, take it easy, go for an easy walk, because as that new moon comes in, that sacredness of sowing a new seed. And Gemini falls into third house, which third house is all about camaraderie, communication, connection. And so get yourself ready for that new moon. Yeah. Very,
mhm.
very powerful. Set some wishes out there in the universe, light a candle, ask for what you would like to co create, birth into this reality. Very, very powerful.
Well, those are very good suggestions. Thank you, Adriana. I love all the wisdom and knowledge that you have, and at every scale, and also in this case regarding to astrology in a very fun way, which that's what I love the most. So yeah, I just wanted to I mean, as you know, guys, we will be having like the trip, the retreat to Hawaii, and the of course we will be touching upon these topics, yet it also involves um the the mission, the inner mission of igniting your the rainbow flame of your crystalline heart. You know, as I was saying, flame of wholeness. We will be working a lot with the passion, as Adriana was mentioning, through the different consciousnesses present in the land, and also, of course, with the spark of enlightenment, because Lemuria, we know that even though there were different type of um, let's say beings there, races, some of them were very much glowing, and this is part of what I have been saying, that is setting up for the upgrade in human evolution from Homo sapiens to Homo luminous. At least this is what I have received. Again, you know, I'm just sharing what I remember, um, what I experienced, yet you always choose, you know, with all the respect, because that's what unity consciousness is about, right? It's not about all of us thinking the same. It's just about creating harmonics, while each one of us, it's their own unicity within the unity, their own uniqueness, our own uniqueness within the unity. So now, um, when it comes to um, you know, this enlightenment of the body, this glowing, it very much comes to a huge restoration that will be taking place of the memories that are stored in the heart. We normally talk about the neurons and the memory in the brain, yet the memories of, for instance, the gut brain is, of course, involved very much with the passion. This is why, as there have only been memories of war or anger or whatever, like very Martian energies, that could be very much involved with why the fire that's coming up to awaken is very much coming as, you know, like anger fire, battle fire, war fire. But the thing is that if we restore our connection from our navel to the primordial matrix, we will start igniting the memories in our gut brain that are related to God. Have you Are you aware that gut brain is very much alike in frequency to God brain? Why? Because in our guts, there, like the amount of mitochondria that you find there, the obelisks that are RNA bodies that are actually as the obelisks outside, funneling all, receiving and funneling energy that actually bridge through our all our biological lattice and empowering into the quantum field, is the highest in the guts. Also, we have a lot of it's actually, you know, like even DMT, traces of DMT have been found in our gut brain. Can you imagine it? You know, we leave it all for the higher aspects of ourself. But what if everything is about wholeness? Again, what if the gut brain is actually super important? And this is why they hook there through, you know, once you they remove the umbilical cord, then they connect a wormhole that is connecting to the simulation, you know, to the illusion. So it's removing that and restoring to the primordial field, so that you get to remember your true origin when you were in the cosmic womb, you know? So we will be working with that and through the waters. There are a lot of codes coming through the waters. I received these codes like 9 years ago, along with the Omnivision key, which are the water, the solar, uh, the the sun water codes, or the solar water codes. that are connecting to the blue sun, and they're like plasma, like plasmic upgrades or plasma upgrades of the connection to the original sun, to the primordial sun, and which is very much connected to Alcyon as uh, regarding to the photonic belt of Alcyon and where is our galaxy mainly rotating around, which is the sun of Alcyon. And now then we will be going deep through that. We will be doing great work from within and then expanding without, calling in for the records of the Lemurian arcs, and because there is a lot of information that through Lemuria, there were held many arcs that are, some of them are being found now, some of them are from the Nordics, some of them are from other species, but there are some arcs that are connecting actually through to the 13 skulls, like in between the peninsula of Yucatan and Cuba. That pyramidal structure, it's very much connected to the Lemurian codes, so Lemurian imprints. Because before being their pyramids, the encoding of some platforms, technological platforms there, are very much connected to Lemuria. So now, um, another aspect of it is that through that crystalline lattice comes the consciousness of this pristine love. I don't know if you guys will be experiencing, if you have been experiencing it, yet there is a lot of purity coming through so that you see yourself through the eyes of love of source, like forgiving yourself, embracing yourself, loving yourself, feeling passionate about yourself, like that level of purity that brings you in a state of you being capable to embody the most evolved version of yourself. This doesn't mean looking away your shadow from your shadow. This is actually reaching the state of consciousness that will allow you truly to dissolve that shadow into love, using it on behalf of you. Because again, the rainbow has all the colors. Without all the colors, there is no rainbow. And again, like we have the 7 color rainbow, we have the 9 color rainbow, which includes black and white. We have the 11 one, which includes gold and silver. So depending on the level of dimensions, the one of 11 colors is actually connected to the 12 stranded DNA. So now, because the communion of all of them is the 12th, you know well, actually it's the 12th frequency, which is the gold and the silver being the 11th, 10th and 11th, and then we have the 12th one, which is gray. Interesting, right? Yes. And the Atlantean used this technology because it's the counterpart of the green, so gray matter, and the middle in between black and white. What is it? Gray. But it's just a matter of integration and mastering how the gradients of light work and um, work themselves out throughout this density, the fourth density mainly. Um, and anyway, so we will be working a lot. We will be going deep within the rainbow flame, through the passion, through the spark of enlightenment, bringing in alive those codes of Lemuria within you, bringing in your heart together again. Like, how many people, and I honor this as many things that I honor from you, Adriana, that when we were having a talk, you and we were talking about, like these hard processes that we all go through, and how sometimes you feel like your heart is broken into pieces, and then you bring it back together. It's a matter of, now, if we bring that as the islands, is like they have always been connected. What separated them were the waters. Now, what are the waters? Our emotions, our perception. and it's sacred. Whatever our perception is sacred. It's just about remembering that even those waters are so sacred that allow to bring in through their own force all the land, all the islands together, and bring in and giving birth to that new heart, because we are opening ourselves up to ways of loving that we had never experienced before. And sometimes that could be scary, you know. And then you could try to sabotage yourself, but then you remember that that's why we are here for, at least if you choose that. So embracing that new heart that is being given to us is actually the original heart, is the Christ, the crystalline heart. And it's a beautiful stage. I couldn't be more grateful for being here now, because you feel vulnerable, and vulnerable is beautiful. You feel naked, and naked it's beautiful, because then you get to play with that passion, as we were saying, embracing yourself in every shade. You know, the only expectations that you need to address to are the ones that doesn't exist. By means of this,
Yeah.
you are a white canvas, and as long as you are coherent and loving with yourself, you're in a good path.
It's 555. Yes, you say that. That was very beautifully said. Yes, so we both are on both. We all are on a process. I meant masculine and feminine are back in a process of coming back to center, coming back to ourselves. A lot of toxicity is being purged with the flame, and that's something that you do go through. That's why you have to feel all the feelings. Most remember how we talked about that we are Fibonacci spiral and we spiral out. And in the order to undo the pattern, you got to feel all the feelings back into the nothing where it first started. And you were telling me, well, I'm able to just get rid of the pattern. So it depends where you are vibrationally. You can just get rid of the pattern, but you still have to recognize it. You still have to own it. You still have to have love and compassion towards it and the learning that it served you, right? In the
Yes.
order to then put a new, better belief, new, better pattern that you're going to be bringing in. And I think that's something that we're both very good at. It's bringing in the new way of thinking, bringing in the new patterns, bringing in the new codes. And that was going to be also part of the trip. So, besides you releasing and letting things go and bringing yourself back into balance, we're going to be giving you better codes, higher vibration codes. Isha has a way of blowing your mind up,
And
with the way she thinks. And you will just sit there and go, huh, I never knew that, or I never thought about it that way. But she just totally opened up my creative conscious to something brand new and different. And so when we get together, this beautiful energy of love and the connection of all the minds sinking in. I mean, when we were in Mexico or when we were in Sedona, we're all aligned on the same vibration. So coming there, you're gonna be part of that collective. You're gonna be aligned with everyone. You're gonna be bringing in that new codes and new healing, new calling. We're gonna be from all over the place, right? And then as we leave again, we're going to be bringing that now everywhere we go across the time and space in all the different places of the world. So the mission in Hawaii is very strong, it's very powerful, and consider yourself invited to it. Can't wait for it. I'm really excited. I was actually telling someone it is so hard to believe that I don't see Isha every day. I talk to Isha every day, but when we were in Sedona, we hung out all the time and it was amazing. And I'm
yeah,
like, I can't wait for Hawaii to be with her again, because this is like,
likewise.
I can't even like, how am I not where she is?
we,
Because that
we,
is how
we
it's
will we
supposed to
will get
be.
there. We're getting
I
there.
know,
Yeah,
yeah, of
yeah.
course, but it's just like it's so interesting. I was talking about that earlier, so yes.
Yeah, 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 definitely happening. And yeah, yeah, she will be singing to the whales, to the dolphins, and
I actually have my water bowl with me today, the Divine Sacred Feminine, which we can play also for a
yeah,
bit.
yeah, it will be lovely to close with that. I just want to say, um, stay tuned for more details about the trip. We will be sharing the flyer for that. I will put it actually while you play the ball.
Hmm.
Um, and you're more than welcome to come, as Adriana said. We will be having a very powerful trip for sure. A lot of codes coming through. As you know, a lot of people has been called to Hawaii. We will be talking also about the secret island, the forbidden island, because there is a forbidden island, and there is a very specific reason why it is forbidden, and it has to do with what is there. So we will be touching upon. You can imagine that you have like a forbidden island in your own heart. What is that about? Tell us. Go deep in it. What are your deepest secrets? So we will be sharing all type of codes there, secrets going deep within, opening, expanding, releasing a lot of layers that perhaps are holding you back, and receiving a new heart. That's what the the rainbow flame of the crystalline heart is about receiving, rebirthing your new heart, your original heart, that next stage of loving, embracing it, because it's your highest power. So love you too, love you all.
Love you all. Deep breath in. Let's clean and clear and bring in the waters. So that was the call of Lemuria for everyone.
Beautiful, beautiful, truly
You are
beautiful.
now invited. If I've had a conch, I would have sang the conch for you.
Yeah, so save the date, September.
Yes,
Stay
early
tuned.
September.
We will be sharing more details. Yet again, something super special is that we are preparing. So prepare yourself, prepare your heart.
That's
And
right.
yes, so it also all the details about where to contact us will be available, and all the description with the flyer and the advertisings that we will be having. We will be having more shows as well.
Yes, we're looking forward to it. So thank you all for today. This was another amazing show. Thank you, Isha, for your wisdom and your beautiful crystal waters that you brought to us while I matched you with your fire Pele segment. Now, see, now she's got
Yeah.
the fire and I got the water to calm down. So we're more balanced.
Yeah, that was so much fun. Thank you so much, Adriana. I love you so much. Thank you for all your wisdom. and that presence that you always bring to all the information that you convey, making really like allowing people to see themselves through you, and that's so beautiful, so honorable. Thank you, everyone. I can't wait, and I'm so honored to do this retreat with you. Thank you, everyone, for all your lovely comments, for your presence in resonance, and until next time. Oh, by the way, remember, if you can join us at next weekend at the basis 2026, and then in Sedona again July. And stay tuned for all the upcoming events after the retreat, which will be in September or even before. Anyway, I will be.
Where is the basis?
I I just know it's in UK, and I just know that I have my everything ready.
It's okay. So that's in England. So if you are somewhere in
It's in
Europe or in
England.
England at that time, come to that place. You're gonna get some beautiful British magic out there. Can't wait till you bring those codes back. Let's do a live after that.
Yeah,
Because you're gonna
absolutely.
get a lot of the Rose and Mary Magdalene lineage when you go there. That's why I'm kind of talking about it.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm excited. So up
Yeah.
for those updates from you.
Yeah. Well, I know that Miles has been putting a lot of love, and that it's going to be a fantastic conference, a very powerful one. And thank you, Miles, for everything that you're doing. Can't wait to be physically with you and give you a big hug, heart to heart. And yeah, thank you, everyone that is coming. Uh, we will definitely be generating some ripples in the timeline, harmonic ones for sure. And yeah, many events coming up as well, like Sedona, it's around the corner as well, July. So again, stay tuned. I will put the description of all the events below, including our retreat to Hawaii. So again,
Yes.
thank you for everything, and until next time, who knew.
Love you.
Love you.